looking at this, you might notice that I haven't been very religious about not putting the staples in. It's actually quite a bit more work to use these little clamp things here with the little dowel going in the groove than it would be just to staple it on. Of course, you don't get all the holes, but the main thing is as you're putting the next layer down, the next row down, it kind of springs out a little bit here, and you have to put a staple in to hold it down. And as I'm getting around the sharper and sharper curve on the bottom here, that's becoming more and more of a problem. So what I think I'm going to do, I may do one or two more with the little wooden blocks, but I think as I get closer to the bottom, I'm just going to start stapling on with the little pieces of rope so that, one, I can save some time, but I think it's going to be easier to hold them in place and do it that way. As you can see, I'm about 2/3 done. This is actually taking a fairly long time. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes just to take these out and put them on. When I first started, it took about an hour and a half to do 2 strips, one on each side. Now I've got it to under an hour because I'm getting fairly good at it. But I'm still having to use the staples occasionally. And I think I'm going to switch completely to staple for the bottom. It's not really going to matter because I'm going to put a coating of graphite and epoxy on the bottom for slickness and scratch protection and stuff, so nobody will really see the little tiny holes from it. Anyway, that's just an update. starting to look like a canoe. These little things are problematic. They're fairly difficult to cut, even if you try to cut them really well. You still have to sand them and piddle with them a little bit. It's not a big deal. I did screw one up down there, but I'll fill it in with epoxy, and this is going to be covered. The bottom 8 inches is going to be covered with the black stuff anyway, so you won't be able to see it, as in most things in life. Anyway, you might notice me coming over there and popping a switch every time I start this. What I'm doing is I put a 2-hour timer and AC contactor relay for the control of the air compressor, because once I come out here and it ran all night and blew the head gasket and I had to repair it. So this just keeps it on for 2 hours while I'm out here in the shop, and then it shuts it off. This is a little station where I've been cutting this rope into these little green strips on the canoe. It does add a little bit of time because you have to cut the little sections. It doesn't take very long. It's not nearly as long as having to do the clamps. As you can see, it pulls it in. Now, one thing I did notice is it doesn't push it down. When you put the clamps on, it actually pushes the boards together really well. But when you just staple it on, there's a little gap in here. I don't think that's really going to be a big issue, especially since it's going to be covered by the black graphite coated epoxy, or graphite filled epoxy. It's not going to be a big deal. But it sort of looks like a canoe, and I'm actually kind of happy with it. It's a nice curve. This is actually a little bit shallower of a knifing in section on the front and on the back. And this is actually getting to be fairly easy. That's actually 2 8-foot strips will actually do the entire section, so it's getting quicker and easier. This, like I said, is a little bit difficult to cut and fit together perfectly there, but you know, it's not impossible to do. Anyway, to work. Yeah. Smile.
Huh?
Smile for the camera. So I can do what tomorrow?
Me. Go and sit down tomorrow, like today.
Just
Yeah.
And be sure to get as close to the edge as possible with your pencil mark. And then each little compartment marked. So everywhere there's a gap.
So here and here too?
Well, if there's a gap here, I can't really tell. Yeah, here too. So here, here. And wherever there's, like, where I'm gonna need to trim this at. So probably here, all of those.